What is the creepiest glitch you've experienced in real life? From 6th to 8th, I had felt like my world just repeated itself because I remember talking about something a few weeks ago. Then I relived the same experience, and the scariest thing was I knew it was coming, and when I realized it, I had a frozen moment of thought. Asked a girl out and it worked. Saw a dog staring at me at like 5 a.m. Monsieur, I look away for a second and he vanished into thin air. Every time I just randomly think about the movie Groundhog Day, I see it everywhere. People mention it to me. It's on the TV, radio. I can't escape it. I think like déjà vus because I got them very often, and they do help me in situations because I know what will happen. Seeing a bunch of things becoming a person. I was at my grandmother's house and she has this rug by the fireplace. My dad was standing there and started to kick it about to try and straighten it out. Seemingly by instinct I said, "Why are you always kicking rugs about?" I got puzzled looks from everyone. You see, at that moment I had a distinct memory of him doing it only very recently before. It felt like hours ago, not days or weeks or whatever. I can even see the rug that he was kicking before. Blue with white squares and circles on. But for the life of me, I can't remember where or when it happened. I even asked my mother and she hasn't got a clue. It's like I've generated a false, random memory, but it feels so real. I'm not even the confronting type, so it was unusual just saying something about it, but it was so compelling. Not sure if this is a glitch or what, but it kind of freaked me out. It sounds so innocent, but the idea that I might not be able to trust my memory is terrifying. I can't describe how real it felt, but I also know that it never happened. At least not in the way I remember. When my mom called to tell me that my grandpa died, I thought she said Papa died, and Papa is the nickname for my dad. I was crying uncontrollably, and when I finally figured out it was Grandpa, I was too embarrassed to admit that I thought it was my dad. I called him later and told him, and he just laughed. Anyway, fast forward 3 weeks and my dad dies too. Part of me thinks mishearing her was their universe preparing me to lose. Hi Monsieur, it was weird. Because it was like I lost him twice and I'm still kind of waiting for someone to tell me it was all a mistake and it was actually someone else. Edit. I feel kind of bad because I barely thought about Grandpa since my dad died. My grandma has it the worst because she lost a husband and a son in the same month. I was having these really vivid dreams. Each dream picked up where the last night's dream ended. These dreams were so real. I told my parents about them. Monsieur, I wish I had written him down in a dream journal and dated the Monsieur. Weeks later, I was at a concert and started getting déjà vu. It was my dreams happening in front of my eyes. I turned to my friend and said, "I've been here before, man. Seriously." In like 5 to 10 minutes, a girl with blonde hair will come by us crying because she lost her friends in the crowd. I will calm her down, let her hang with us until she feels better. Then she will go on her way. 5 minutes later, that exact thing happened. She looked exactly like my dreams. The words I spoke were exactly from my dreams. She stayed for a few minutes, calmed down and stopped crying, then moved on into the crowd and disappeared. Afterwards, my friend, who witnessed the entire event, was too freaked out by this premonition and asked if we could leave the show early. I still get déjà vu every few days, but I've never predicted something successfully again. I'm not sure I believe in special powers, but that event has changed my entire outlook on life. I think there is a glitch in my dream program that lets me see the future. Lost my keys while over at a friend's house and was using a spare for almost a week. Found them sitting in the driver's seat when it was parked at my own place, miles away from where I lost them, monsieur. One night when I was a teenager, I got up to use the bathroom, and I looked down the stairs from the hallway and I saw my then 14-year-old brother walking past the downstairs corridor from one room to another. I knew it was him because of his longish hair that he had at the time, and his gait. I even saw his baggy jeans shape. It was the middle. I thought it was out of character and weird for him to be walking around in the dark and at that hour in day clothes. But I thought nothing more of it and went to the bathroom, monsieur, the next morning when I asked him what he was doing last night. He said he never went downstairs. As far as I know, he doesn't and never has sleepwalked. When I was little, my family was at my grandparents' place. They had a pool in the back, and us kids were swimming while our parents ate on the porch. I, being a devious 8-year-old, decided to swim into the deep end where I was not yet allowed. Being cocky and overconfident about my ability to swim, I dove down and touched the bottom of the pool. I stayed down there for a moment before I felt I needed air. I started to swim up, but I realized that I needed air a lot more urgently than I had previously thought. I felt my lungs burning, and thought to myself that I needed air now. Still another foot and a half underwater. I took a breath. Weirdly enough, it felt as though I had breathed in air. I broke the surface and tried to cough out whatever water would be in my lungs, but there was nothing. I didn't find it very odd at the time, but now I think about it often. I am very good at chess and have no memory of ever learning how to play it. I remember learning every single game one know how to play, from Monopoly to backgammon, but chess I just know how to play it, and I never remember being bad at it and practicing. It's like I started out good, and I'm not even a fan of it. This happened to my sisters and I. We were making a Target run before my middle sister a bachelorette weekend, which was 40 minutes away, and the Target we went to was in an outdoor mall. We got the stuff back to the car and decided to go to Nordstrom's to look at some makeup. When we returned to the car, we couldn't find the car keys in my oldest sister's purse. Wouldn't even call it a purse. More like a clutch with like 3 pockets. She dumped everything out and put it back in. I dumped everything out and put it back in. My middle sister and sister-in-law did the same. We looked around the car, around Target, and Nordstrom's, and no keys were to be found. My middle sister, freaking out because we were already late for her party, Ubers back to her house to get her car. Meanwhile, a technician comes out to make a copy of the key using the lock so we can at least get our stuff out of it. My brother-in-law comes to drive it home once the spare is made, and we go on our way in my middle sister's car. Fast forward through the bachelorette weekend and we're all home. My oldest sister calls all of us and says, "The key was in my purse." The whole fucking time, I'm like, there's no way, because we all checked your purse. She was transferring her stuff into her bigger everyday purse and stopped dead in her tracks. Took a picture and called us. Definitely a glitch, but in our family, we say everything happens for a reason, and there was a reason we weren't supposed to be on the road just then. We could have been in a bad accident or something. IDK something the 4 of us who were there can't explain at all. I had a dream an old friend, who I hadn't spoken to or seen around or anything in about 2 years, died, and I went to his funeral. I woke up and thought, whoa, that's weird, and went to check his Facebook to see what he was up to. He had gone missing a few days previous, but his body wasn't found until over a year later. Remembered another one. I'm 25, born in 1994, and vividly recall watching the space shuttle crash from the 80s. The one where the teacher got to go up in the shuttle. They would orbit the Earth and return. Her students were all watching, and I remember not watching it on TV. I remember being there. The song 19-something by Mark Wills states, "A space shuttle fell out of the sky, and the whole world cried." It was 1980-something. I said to myself, what? That can't be right. Looked it up and it happened in 1986. But I remember details and I never learned about it in school. IDK where the memories came from, monsieur. Maybe they aren't mine. Or maybe the air face screaming in fear. First night terror. I was having a terrible dream of my rapist. I woke up unable to move and saw him walking towards me. He was in prison at. Sometimes when I dream, and I wake up, I know it's a dream, monsieur. I just know it's a dream, monsieur, but I can't wake up. And the harder I try to wake up, or the more I realize I have to wake up, the scarier it gets. Even though nothing really changes, it feels like a darkness enveloping you as you try and wake up from your fake room, monsieur. How do I know it's a fake room? Just some weird details, like how my wall looks a little too white, or the Christmas tree's lights are on when they're supposed to be off. Don't ask why I have one in my room and not the living room, lol. So then I go through like maybe 1 to 2 minutes of intense waking up, falling back asleep, trying to open my eyes, but then falling back asleep right after. As I said, the rooms are similar but not too similar, so I can just about tell when I'm in the real world and when I'm dreaming. Or perhaps both the rooms are fake, and when I finally wake up, it's the real me in the real world. I don't know. Those are the scariest of dreams, even though they last for a few minutes tops, because that's right before I'm about to wake up. Was eating alone at an outside restaurant and having some shit going on in my life. Was sitting there thinking, started singing the song Yellow by Coldplay in my head to myself. Next thing I knew, it was playing on the outside speakers. Don't know why I started thinking about that song. Hadn't heard it in years. Not a fan of the song or band, kinda freaked me out. It's not that creepy, but one morning when I woke up for few seconds, life seemed like it was only 20 to 30 FPS. Mid-30 here. I was 27 or about that. Lost my job. In a shitty APPT. With my GF, I had weird feedback on the subtitles on my TV. Kind of responding to what I said earlier in the day and whatnot. Even my GF saw it too and didn't understand a thing. I could talk aloud and the person in the TV would respond to it or acted like I told "Hi monsieur." Searched everywhere for a camera, microphone or anything related, never found any. While I searched, subtitles would go like, "Are you searching for a camera behind this for real?" That was creepy as fuck. Couldn't care less if you think I was paranoid though. But then, my GF would have been in the same boat as me. Anyway, moved, and it was all gone thankfully. Sometimes, a moment or two before something happens, I'll remember I dreamed what was about to happen. Then it happens. This whole thing happens so fast. It's freaky. Once, me and my friend bought this toy from my room where I kept old toys. It was like a Furby, but kinda bad and not useful or fun at all. It just said random stuff after listening to your request, so we took the not Furby and make a Charlie Charlie game thing. With like the pencils and a no yes. So, we asked the Furby if Charlie Charlie was there. And, the pencils don't move, but the not Furby, it started glitching out and making strange noises. Me and my friends ran and called for my dad, crying. My dad took the not Furby and said we needed to change the batteries. There was no batteries in the toy, though. It was empty. I couldn't sleep for a while. In 6th grade, one called my mom to let her know my dad was about to head her way to drop my little sister and I off. Divorced parents. When she answered, I said, "Mama," and my mom frantically asked, single quote, "My name, is that you?" Single quote. I said, "Yes." She asked where I was. I said, "Daddy's house. We're about to come home now. Just wanted to let you know. Love you, Mama." She asked me, "Who's Daddy? Where are you? Are you okay?" Obviously I was confused and just answered, "Mama, I'm fine. I'm okay. I love you. I'll see you soon." She said she loved me too. Tried to get me to stay on the phone and I just hung up. My dad later got a call and visit from the police. As it turns out, I had accidentally dialed the phone number of a woman whose daughter had the same name as me and had gone missing. Everything was cleared up very quickly, but I always thought it wasn't a mistake that I dialed the wrong number. Maybe it was that woman's daughter saying goodbye. Probably 7 or 8. Had been thinking, man, I really want to get Pokemon Silver, Gold. That shit looks fun. Walking up the stairs to go to my room and saw a Game Boy cartridge for, what do ya know, Pokemon Silver. Obviously wasn't brand new. The label on it was a little worn, but didn't have any saves on it. My mum didn't get it for me and none of my friends claimed it was one of theirs. Being that young, I didn't think too much about it. Looking a gift horse in the mouth and all that. I was just excited to have the game and played the hell out of it. Typhlosion is still my favorite Pokemon. Probably there is some rational explanation as to where it came from. But since I never focused on figuring that out, it will always be an unsolvable mystery in the back of my mind. Edit. Forgot to mention where exactly I found it. The game was on top of our piano. Out of sight unless you were looking down at it as you were walking up the stairs. Was taking the train home one afternoon and an old man was sitting a row ahead of me. He turned around and asked for directions to the hospital, and I told him which stop to get off at. Eventually, his stop arrives and he gets up to leave. But before he exits, he turned and said, "Thank you. I'll see you later." I said, "Yeah, no problem." And again he said, "I'll see you later," and he looked me right in the eye. I said, "Sure. See ya," and he got off the train and hobbled away with his cane. Thought it was a little weird he was adamant about seeing me around, but whatever. Freaky thing is, when I got off the train and to the bus station, about 5 minutes after boarding my bus, I hear a voice that sounds like the old man. I looked out the bus window and sure enough, he was there at the bus station, same clothes, hat, and cane. I know it was the same guy, but with his walking speed and the available bus, train routes at the time, I have zero clue how he got to the bus station right when I did. There are no buses near the hospital that go to that bus station, and my train was the only train that had just arrived at the bus station. Being somehow endearing to, and earning the affections of, my Christian girlfriend after singing the song. https www.youtube.com/watch v=uqlwwrdhc8. That directly insulted God. A change in location also changes who I am. It's strange and I experience it every day and can't control it. Nothing nearly as creepy as some of the other ones, but I was at Burger King and I was playing in their little playground area. You know, the ones with all the tunnels, stairs, IDK if it's the right term, but anyway. I distinctly remember going in circles in this one tunnel for like 4 or 5 rounds until I stopped and thought, wait, why am I going in circles? And then I continued and realized that the tunnel didn't go in circles but it lead up. Thing is, less than a minute ago I was going around and around in the same tunnel, over and over again. So I retraced my steps, went through the tunnel again, and arrived at the top once more. It was like a time loop that broke. Maybe I was just young and wasn't paying attention and was just exiting the tunnel and just going back in, or I was an idiot kid. But this really scared me as a 9-year-old. I get deja vu up to 7 times a day.